He spent all his savings on a first-class ticket, planning to conduct a business deal with the richest man. But after their handshake, the tycoon kept disinfecting and had his bodyguard hustle into economy. Enraged, Mara insisted he had the right to stay in first class. Yet, he underestimated the power of capital. The tycoon just whispered to the flight attendant, and the plane turned around.
You own the ticket. I own the plane, my friend.
Due to the tycoon's word, Mara was extremely humiliated and kicked off the plane. But the tycoon never dreamed that this poor man would become his strongest rival. What's more, this is a true story. As Mara stepped out of the airport, a mysterious white-haired man named Babu stopped him. He had overheard Mara's plan to start a low-cost airline on the plane. In India, 90% of people can't afford to fly, so a low-cost airline is a business opportunity. But buying planes isn't cheap. He needed Mara to provide foolproof data. Mara took Babu to a restaurant and ordered a plain pizza. At first, Babu looked disgusted, but after one bite, he was amazed. The pizza tasted just like in a 5-star hotel. Mara said the food in 5-star hotels is the same as in small restaurants, but it's 10 times more expensive. Similarly, as long as a low-cost airline focuses on transportation, eliminates business class and lunches, and converts the extra space into economy seats, it can make a fortune through high volume and low profit. These words woke Babu up. He finally believed in Mara's genius, but to get the investment, he needed the shareholders' approval. Babu rushed Mara back to the company. After a risk assessment, the shareholders unanimously opposed the investment. Buying planes requires a lot of money and may not pass government approval. But Mara said there's no need to buy planes. They can rent from the US first. At that time, after September 11th, Boeing had many unsold planes. They could rent them at half price. This once-in-a-lifetime chance won't last. The shareholders agreed, but the funds wouldn't arrive for at least 6 months. Babu asked Mara to cover the rental fees first, but Mara couldn't come up with $6 million. Even after mortgaging his house and farmland, he still needed $4 million. He had to borrow high-interest loans from the village's richest man. When the richest man heard Mara wanted to buy planes, he was shocked. He used to be Mara's father's student. Though he wanted to help, buying planes seemed too risky. Mara had to increase the interest by 30%, and then the richest man agreed. But when Mara went to the Civil Aviation Bureau for a license, the director was arrogant and didn't give him a chance to borrow money, let alone process the license. Mara waited in the hall from sunrise to sunset, from busy to quiet. He believed that when the sky is dark enough, the stars will shine. He also believed that fate won't favor anyone but will bless those who chase their dreams. He waited for 12 days. Finally, the director came. Mara greeted him hopefully, but the director made excuses to report to his superior and told Mara to come back next Monday. Although the waiting was tough, his perseverance paid off and the director agreed. But when he arrived at the Civil Aviation Bureau on Monday, the staff told him that his hope was shattered.
சார் ஒரு வாரம் லீவு தெரியாதா உங்களுக்கு?
எத்தனை வாட்டி சார் 1 வீக் சொல்லிட்டே இருப்பீங்க?
நீங்க யார் மாறன்? போங்க சார்.
This ignited hope was shattered in an instant. He sat in the crowded train station. The noisy voices around him seemed like mockery, mocking him for being too naive and overestimating his own abilities. His enthusiasm gradually solidified into depression. At that moment, a broadcast reminded passengers that expired tickets were invalid. Mara woke up from his daze. Life doesn't offer round-trip tickets. Once you start, you can't turn back. Since the path to success was blocked, he decided to blaze his own trail. He found a former classmate who worked at a newspaper and poured out his ideas, begging to be introduced to the Prime Minister. However, the Prime Minister's office was heavily guarded. Mara had to disguise himself as a journalist to get in. But the bodyguard wasn't fooled and stopped him at the last hurdle. Just one step away from the Prime Minister, Mara shouted his ideas into the room. The low-cost airline concept caught the Prime Minister's attention, and he granted Mara a 2-minute meeting. Currently, travel is inconvenient for poor people in India, and Mara's United Airlines could solve this problem. But the Prime Minister was puzzled why a poor boy would start an airline. It turned out Mara was once an Air Force pilot. One day, he received a call that his father was dying. He rushed to the airport but found the ticket too expensive. His salary couldn't afford it. He borrowed money from others, even kneeling and using his military identity as a guarantee. But no one would help. The security guards even kicked him out of the airport. He had to take a bus and 3 days of train rides, missing his father's last moments. Perhaps the biggest regret in life is not the breakup of a relationship, but the loss of one's parents. To spare others this regret, Mara took on this extraordinary mission. Moved by his idealism and perseverance, the Prime Minister signed the license approval for him. What will happen next? Follow me, and I will update the next part soon.